How's your 2023 has been going? Undoubtedly, 2023 has been a wild year. The whole world is shaking and shaping into a new form, especially the global economy and politics. Hopefully, you realized, but something huge is about to happen. However, many people are not ready for this change. Even worse, most of them don't even know what's about to happen. What is on the way? Do you have any ideas? Let's see this clip.
This afternoon, the Secretary General and Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, will witness the signing of a memorandum of understanding on a strategic partnership between the UN and the World Economic Forum, which outlines areas of cooperation to deepen engagement between the two institutions and to jointly accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda.
As you just saw, the United Nations and World Economic Forum is about to change the whole world this coming September. In other words, all the world's elites and mega companies will be gathered together to change the world starting from September 18, 2023 with their SDG 7-Year Rescue Plan Summit. Are you prepared with their radical transformation plan? What are they planning? What are their goals? What is the 2030 Agenda? In 2015, Switzerland and the UN member states adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development for all people with 17 universal goals. To be able to act quickly, Switzerland has set priorities, especially in those areas where the potential for development is greatest. It is called SDS 2030, a sustainable development strategy. We can categorize it into three main pillars: sustainable consumption and production, climate, energy and biodiversity, and equal opportunities and social cohesion. Does it sound fantastic? Does everybody love this idea? Will they redefine women and men? My goal by 2030 is to have a private jet and twice the kids that Bill Gates had. The matrix is all around us. There's nobody to educate my kids and grandkids. We're going to have someone very soon to defend us against these evil things. My priority is to resist. Why people do not trust them? The reason is simple. Because the world elites are planning to have complete control over your life. You think it's irrelevant to you? You might want to research. They will control your meal. They even say you gotta eat insects and the US will no longer be in superpower. Does it surprise you? Then, let's talk about World Economic Forum. What is the World Economic Forum? Klaus Schwab founded the World Economic Forum in 1971 in Switzerland. The WEF used to be called the European Management Forum, and the initial goal was how European firms could catch up with the US management practices. Do you want to know what he envisions the future?
But can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain waves, and I can immediately tell you how the people react, or I can feel how the people react to your answers. Is it imaginable?
Do you like his plan? Do you trust World Economic Forum? The WEF predicts 8 things will happen by 2030. Here are some of the predictions according to them. Number 1, you'll own nothing and be happy. Number 2, the US won't be the world's leading superpower. Instead, a handful of countries will dominate. Number 3, you won't die waiting for an organ donor. Instead, we won't transplant organs. We'll print new ones. Number 4, you will eat much less meat. Number 5, 8 billion people will be displaced by climate change. We'll have to do a better job at welcoming and integrating refugees. Number 6, polluters will have to pay to emit carbon dioxide. There will be a global price on carbon. This will help make fossil fuels history. Number 7, you could be preparing to go to Mars. The start of a journey to find alien life. Number 8, Western values will have been tested to the breaking point. Checks and balances that underpin our democracies must not be forgotten. If you still can't believe this, you are welcome to Google it. Let's see WEF's objective list. globalism, net zero, reimagining capitalism. Also slowing down population goals. Maybe it's different from depopulation. Just FYI, Klaus Schwab is not a businessman and many of the elites who are leading these goals. You may question, who will follow these rules and who will fund WEF? Surprisingly, the most of funding is provided by the world's most significant business entities, who join the forum as members, including Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and many others. In 2022, there were approximately 2,000 delegates including Al Gore, John Kerry, Christine Lagarde, and many other high-profile names. The goal of this is absolutely about globalism and complete control over every single person. Ultimately, they want the Great Reset. Some people may think it is just conspiracy theory, but it is not anymore when they have been officially claiming the Great Reset, especially since COVID hit. Yes, COVID was the catalyst in this whole thing, and Klaus Schwab mentioned that the pandemic represents the very crisis needed in order to seize control of all the world's governments, for all of them to come together into one entity. Not to mention, the UN also emphasizes the need of one world government. Remember, they literally said, "You'll own nothing and be happy." Also, they believe consuming insects instead of meat will help with climate change. You don't get it? According to WEF, edible insects can produce equivalent amounts of quality protein when compared to animals. Also, they stated that we're actually running out of protein. Even worse, they also heading for a cashless society, carbon tax, and social credit score. Yes, just like we saw in dystopian movies. Let's see how people reacted. I don't remember ever voting for Schwab and the WEF to run my life. As a Canadian paying ridiculous carbon taxes, this adds up. Are further doing the job of his masters. The WEF should be the first group for a crimes against humanity trial. Even worse, do you want to know how WEF will transform the currencies?
We are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new accounting is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights if we're going to have digital money. But also, this new money will be sovereign in nature. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well.
We tend to establish the equivalence with cash, and there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. The key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control.
And the one final note I will make is that if you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it as a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things but not other things that it deems less desirable, like say ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC.
Are we ready? Are you well prepared? Religious people suggest that this does look a lot like the 7-year tribulation mentioned in the Bible. The Bible is very clear about what we are going to see in the very last days. The UN SDG summit just added the Israel peace plan between Israel and Palestine to strengthen their commitment for 7 years to the Agenda 2030 goals. According to the Times of Israel article, Saudi Arabia will be co-hosting an event on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly next week focused on revamping the Israeli-Palestinian peace process. The event, titled Peace Day Effort for Middle East Peace, will take place on Monday and is being put on by Saudi Arabia along with the Arab League and the European Union in cooperation with Egypt and Jordan, one of the diplomats said. Some Christians proclaim that this is Israel's 7-year peace treaty mentioned in the Bible. According to Scripture, there are going to be 10 nations confederations that are going to represent the nations of the world in the end time. It will be ruled over by one single man, Antichrist, who will control everything in the world. The Antichrist is not revealed, however, the infrastructure of one world government and their calls for that. Remember, you are the one who can make changes and spread awareness. Stay awake and spread the news and educate everybody around you. Whether believe it or not, we are in a time of awakening. I will come back with a more informative video next time. If you want to stay awake and spread the truth, please hit the subscribe button and also like and share. Thank you.